Before humans walked the earth, before civilizations, before even life itself, there was nothing but darkness. Then, around 13.8 billion years ago, in a moment still shrouded in mystery, everything began. The Big Bang. A colossal explosion known as the Big Bang gave birth to space, time, and matter. Stars ignited, galaxies formed, and one of these galaxies, the Milky Way, became home to something extraordinary. The birth of Earth, 4.5 billion years ago. About 4.5 billion years ago, a molten ball of rock formed around our young sun. This was Earth. For millions of years, it was a violent planet of fire, lava, and meteor collisions. But eventually, something magical happened. Life begins. 3.5 to 4 billion years ago. As the Earth cooled and water collected into oceans, simple organic molecules combined to form the first microbial life. These were single-celled organisms such as bacteria. No eyes, no brain, just basic life. Yet they were the first step toward us. Evolution, the grand process of change. Over billions of years, life evolved through natural selection. Simple cells to complex cells. Single-celled organisms to multicellular life. Primitive fish to amphibians, reptiles, mammals. But first, who said everything begins 13.8 billion years ago? Who said Earth begins 4.5 billion years ago? Who said life begins 3.5 to 4 billion years ago?
Okay, so first begins with universe, around 13.8 billion years old. But how do we know this? Scientists have been trying to figure it out for decades, and their tools are both clever and fascinating. Step 1, looking back in time. The first clue comes from something called the cosmic microwave background, or CMB. Think of the CMB like the afterglow of the Big Bang, the moment when the universe began. It's a faint, almost invisible light that fills the entire universe. This light has been traveling across space for billions of years, carrying secrets about the universe's earliest moments. So by studying this light, scientists can estimate how long the universe has been expanding. It's like seeing footprints in the sand and figuring out how long ago someone walked there. Step 2, how fast is the universe expanding? Next, scientists measure the Hubble constant, the speed at which galaxies are moving away from each other. Imagine blowing up a balloon with tiny dots on it. As you blow, the dots move away from each other. The faster they move, the more you can tell about how long ago the balloon started expanding. Similarly, by measuring the speed of galaxies, scientists can work backward to figure out when the universe began. Step 3, using big models. Scientists also use complex mathematical models called LCDM, lambda cold dark matter. Don't worry about the name. Here's what it means. Lambda, L, represents the mysterious force called dark energy that makes the universe expand faster. Cold dark matter, CDM, is invisible matter that doesn't emit light but has gravity and shapes the universe. Using these models, scientists can simulate how the universe evolved over billions of years. Step 4, satellites in space. To get precise measurements, scientists launched special satellites like WMAP, Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe. It mapped the CMB across the sky with incredible accuracy. By studying tiny temperature differences in this light, scientists learned how old the universe is. Planck satellite, a more advanced mission that gave even more precise data about the universe's birth. Its measurements confirmed the age to be about 13.77 plus or minus 0.059 billion years. That tiny plus or minus 0.059 means scientists are very confident about this estimate. So in short, the universe started with the Big Bang. It left behind a faint light called the CMB. We measure how fast the universe expands. We use satellites and computer models to simulate its growth. All this combined tells us the universe is about 13.8 billion years old. So now let's talk about the birth of Earth. Imagine the universe as a giant cosmic kitchen. About 4.5 billion years ago, in a corner of the Milky Way, something amazing happened. Around our young sun, dust and gas, left over from older stars, started to swirl together. This swirl is called a protoplanetary disk. Protoplanetary disk, it's like a spinning pancake of gas, dust, and rock around a newborn star. Over time, small particles stick together, forming bigger clumps, then rocks, then planets. Scientists know this happens because we can see it happening around other stars today with powerful telescopes like Hubble and ALMA. As these tiny rocks collided, they stuck together and grew bigger. Gravity, an invisible force pulling everything together, kept adding more and more material. Eventually, one massive ball formed, Earth. At first, Earth was basically a giant lava ball because all the collisions released enormous heat. Asteroids and comets were constantly smashing into Earth. These impacts were so big that some of them could vaporize entire oceans if they existed. No atmosphere yet. Any gases that were released were either trapped in molten rock or blown away into space. Scientists know this from, first, moon rocks and meteorites. The moon formed around the same time and preserves records of these violent collisions. By dating moon rocks, scientists found they are about 4.5 billion years old, just like the oldest Earth rocks. Second, radioactive dating. On Earth, certain elements like uranium slowly decay into lead. By measuring the ratio of uranium to lead in a rock, scientists can clock the rock's age. That's how we know Earth formed about 4.5 billion years ago. So, about 4.5 billion years ago, Earth was born as a violent, molten rock, bombarded by meteors with no oceans or air. Over time, gravity, cooling, and volcanic activity turned it into a planet where water could pool, land could form, and eventually life could appear. So now let's talk about life begins on Earth. After millions of years, Earth began to cool. Water vapor in the atmosphere condensed and fell as rain, forming the first oceans. These oceans weren't blue and clean like today. They were full of chemicals, minerals, and energy from lightning and volcanic activity. This chemical soup became the perfect kitchen for the first life to emerge. Scientists call this the primordial soup. Life didn't appear magically. It began from very simple molecules, the building blocks of life, like amino acids, which are like tiny Lego pieces for proteins. Proteins do almost everything in living things. And sugars, energy sources. Lipids, building blocks of cell membranes. Imagine these molecules floating in warm, shallow pools, bumping into each other, sometimes sticking together. Occasionally, under the right conditions, like energy from lightning or heat, they formed more complex molecules, capable of storing information. This step is the origin of the first single-celled life, microbes. They had a cell membrane, like a tiny bubble holding everything together. DNA or RNA, molecules that store instructions for life. Basic metabolism, turning chemicals into energy to survive. No eyes, no brain, no nerves, just tiny, self-sufficient life forms. Yet these were the first ancestors of all life on Earth. Now, let's talk about evolution. Once life existed, evolution began. Evolution is the process by which life changes over time. How does it work? Through something called natural selection. Every organism produces offspring. There is variation among offspring. They aren't identical. Some variations make survival easier, finding food, avoiding danger, adapting to climate. Those survivors pass on their traits to the next generation. Over millions and billions of years, this gradual process transformed life, simple cells to complex cells. At first, all life was prokaryotes, cells without a nucleus, like bacteria. Around 2 billion years ago, some cells started to merge and live together inside one cell. These became eukaryotes, cells with a nucleus. This allowed more complex functions and larger cells. Single-celled to multi-celled organisms. Around 1 billion years ago, some eukaryotic cells began forming colonies, eventually becoming true multicellular life, organisms made of many cells that could specialize, some for movement, some for food, some for protection. The rise of animals. About 600 million years ago, the first simple animals appeared in the oceans. They had basic structures but could move and eat. From water to land. Primitive fish evolved fins and gills, thriving in oceans. Some fish developed limbs and lungs, becoming the first amphibians that could survive on land and water. Amphibians evolved into reptiles, fully adapted to life on land. Reptiles eventually gave rise to mammals, the warm-blooded creatures with hair and milk to feed young. From tiny single-celled microbes in warm oceans, life gradually became diverse, complex, and specialized. Every plant, insect, fish, and mammal, including humans, shares a distant ancestry with those first tiny cells. It's like a family tree that spans billions of years, starting with invisible cells in a chemical soup, eventually branching out to all the incredible life on Earth today.